Hey everyone, I know it's been a while since I've done a kind of a monster guide. Not sure what to call this, a boss guide. But anyways, I decided to go for a Barrows run today. So what's going to be covered in this guide is the Barrows, the setup for going to Barrows, how to get there, and a typical Barrows run. So the 6 Barrows brothers are Darok. He hits high near death, uses melee, and you should probably kill him first when you have prayer, if you want to. Barak hits through prayer, uses melee, I would kill him second. Akrisae is optional if you've completed Ritual of the Majorat, and I would highly recommend killing him. Torag has a useless special, you don't really need to pray against him. Kirill, he uses range, he's kind of annoying, and has another useless special. Ahrim drains stats and uses magic. Guthan heals himself and uses melee. So to get the actual rewards, you're going to have to complete a puzzle. You'll understand more about this later, but all the answers are right here, and I highly suggest memorizing them. Okay, so let's get down to equipment and inventory. What you're going to want to have is a magic-based weapon and a optional melee-based weapon or range-based weapon, depending on what you want to kill. So for a typical simple setup, I would use a black salamander if you can. That would probably be minimum level requirement, and this acts as a magic weapon, and then you can also bring a melee weapon or use that as a melee weapon as well. For an advanced setup, I would use 2 different armor switches and just use the highest possible armor that you can. Instead of Void, I would recommend Bandos, but Void is also okay. So now let's discuss how to get there. I'm going to have quite a bit of time to actually talk about this. So there is one preferred method. It is the quickest, and you actually have to do the first quest series of the Innate of the Mirror Key or In Search of the Mirror Key. I'm pretty sure it's In Search of the Mirror Key. Quests actually use this route to get over the bridge, I'm pretty sure. But if you haven't done that and you can't be bothered, even though I really would recommend it before you start going on a massive Barrows hunting spree, like if you want to get all the Barrows armor, I would really suggest doing this this quest. But if you haven't and you don't want to, then there is another route where you go through the main gate to Mort Mire, and then you follow that all the way south until you cross over the bridge. You go across the windy path to Bur de Rot, and then you go across that to Barrows. But if you have completed it, what you should do is start from canifis, either use the trapdoor to go over to the ladder, the tree ladder, or you can just run around that. And then after that, take the swampy boat to the Barrows. Either of these routes will work really well, but I really prefer using the boat, as it saves a bunch of time compared to following the windy path. Also, if you've completed Branches of Darkmare, you can just teleport here. Okay, now you're finally at Barrows. Congratulations. Now, I'm not going to get into the lore of Barrows, but anyways, there are 6 brothers, 7 if you've completed Ritual of the Majorat, buried in these tombs, and what you're going to have to do is use your spade on each of the Barrows to enter them. Once you've done that, I would suggest going in this order. That's the order that I like to go in. But what you have to do is just mage any of the brothers that are using melee, and then use melee against any of the brothers that are using magic or range. There's only 2 of them. So what I typically start off with is Darok. He's in the northeast Barrow. The order that you go in doesn't particularly matter, but typically you will get into a pattern based on what Barrows brothers you like. And the next one that I go into is Barak. He doesn't actually have to be next. I just am pretty much done using prayer for the rest of the trip. Once I run out of prayer, that's it. The super restore potion that you bring is just in case you see a grave or you're low health or something along that means. In the northwest Barrow, there's actually 2 tombs, the southern one being Varek's tomb, and then the northern one being Akrisae's. Akrisae is the Barrow brother that's achieved, I would say, after completing Ritual of the Majorat quest. And there's a special case now where there's 7 Barrows brothers, but you only have to kill 6 of them to achieve loot from Barrows. So in my case, if I was doing any typical run, I would prefer to kill Akrisae since he has a higher value Barrow armor, and then I would not kill a monster like Torag because in my opinion Torag's armor is completely useless and it's not worth getting as a special drop in my opinion. But if you haven't done this, go to your next favorite Barrows brother, which in this case I actually went to the closest one. And at this point I actually realized that I hadn't potted up yet, so if you brought pots, just make sure to do that. But in Torag's case, I would typically skip this Barrow. He is the southwestern one. I don't know why this is hard for me to say today, but he is the southern west Barrow. He has a completely useless special, and his armor usually doesn't cost a lot because no one uses it. Next on the list is Kirill, and Kirill is actually the first one that you will meet that isn't using melee. He's actually the range Barrow. So what I did was switch up to my melee armor and just started beating the crap out of him. As you can see, I think I 3-hit him. Yep, congratulations, I 3-hit him. But he isn't very difficult, and you'll get very used to him. If you have a special attack weapon like claws, it's very useful to use them on him. Then next up is Akrisae, which is in the center Barrow, and he actually uses mage. He's also very weak to melee, so I would highly suggest using that. Okay, so once you've finally completed killing him, make sure to go on to the next Barrow. If you haven't reached your tunnel yet, this Barrow's brother will be your tunnel. In my case, my tunnel was Guthan, which is not very bad. The one that I very much dislike having in the tunnel is Darok, but you don't really have to worry about it. It won't really make a difference. But so in the tunnel there is a 3x3 square of chambers like this, and what you're trying to do is access the center one. On the corner chambers, there will be a pathway connecting the outer corners, and then each room also has doors going in between the inner chambers. But what you really want to do is just get to the center, and not all doors will be able to open. So what you just have to find is the center door that will be able to open. So you can use your screen size to actually kind of cheat on this, but it's not really cheating. It is though a quite complicated puzzle, and make sure that you actually remember which way you go in, because what you don't want is to forget where the rope is, or mess up and have to redo. So typically this won't happen, but occasionally if you open a door, your Barrow's brother will spawn randomly. It could be the first door, it could be the millionth door, but it could be neither of these. So the only spot where your Barrow's brother will guaranteed spawn is in the center tomb. As soon as you open up the chest, and I'm pretty sure it's as soon as you open up the chest, your Barrow's brother will spawn, you can kill him, and then you're good. But once you've found the center door that can open, you just have to try to get that monster off of you, which is very annoying, and then try to click the puzzle answer. This is why it's really good to memorize the puzzle answers, because you don't always have enough time to search it. You probably have about 2 or 3 game ticks, which is up to 1.8 seconds or so before you can actually get to it, before you can actually click the puzzle and have it open. You'll know that you got the right answer if it says on the bottom you hear the door mechanism opening, and that's the really tricky part of pretty much the whole thing. Now, it's not bad to kill the monsters. You should probably kill them. If you kill up to 3 monsters, you actually have the chance at getting all possible loot from the chests, and I actually recommend this because after killing 3 monsters, you can obtain bolt racks and blood runes, which are probably the most valuable loot from the chest that's not an actual Barrow's equipment. And for the successful rate of Barrow's drops, it's actually about 1 in 15 chests. Okay everyone, so I want to thank you for watching this quick little borrows guide, and I have a subscribe button up at the top. Don't feel pressured into clicking it, but if you want to get all the newest upcoming guides that I make, I would highly suggest subscribing. Also on the screen I have two other guides that I've recently made, and I'd like to thank you for watching this video if you watched the whole way through, and I hope this helped you at least a little bit.